we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello. Good afternoon. Hello, Alex. How are you?
Hello, hello. Hi, Luca. How are you? And welcome everyone to Pipeline Fever, our webinar where we discuss not just CRM and especially Pipedrive, of course, but also automations, like, some good use cases, integrations with other tools and everything. So yes, great to see everyone here. Today, Luca, we are going to talk a little bit about this new feature that Pipedrive released not long ago, right? Called sequences inside of posts. So for you guys that don't know, we're going to explain a little bit, but just a little bit of housekeeping. If you haven't used yet Livestorm, you can put your questions on the section on the side in there. There is also a little place so we can chat. So feel free to interact and to put your questions, and we go from there. Luca, do you want to have a quick introduction, for about us and about PLC?
Yeah, of course. So that's the first and not the last one of our webinar. We will plan a bunch of webinar every 2 weeks on the Friday afternoon with Alex. As you mentioned, discussing and talking about Pipedrive, talking about CRM, talking about automation, talking about Make, and different topics that you are using and you need to understand and to use on your work days every day. So basically, I'm Lucas. I'm a Pipedrive expert at BLC, and I'm with Alex, who is as well a Pipedrive expert at BLC, and we are doing everything that you need on Pipedrive: automations, support, training, implementation, database cleaning, well, everything you need on Pipedrive. We are here to help you. And basically, we are the Pipedrive masters, and we are here for our first webinar based on the sequences. As you mentioned, Alex, sequences is new on Pipedrive, and it's a really nice feature that we will show you basically because it's really, really interesting, and I can see a lot of potential on this model.
Lovely. Can you hear me well, Luca? It's fine.
Perfect. Yeah,
All
perfect.
right, lovely. So just to clarify, you can see in the image in there, Pipedrive expert, not always, we always have to keep ourselves up to the game, because Pipedrive keeps releasing some really cool new features like this one that we're going to see today. So today we're going to be talking about the introduction of sequences, and that's the feature that I said just earlier on inside of posts. So posts is this new, let's say, module that we have in Pipedrive, where we're going to have sequences. We're going to have also like data enrichment. They're probably going to create a new webinar related to that. And then something else that we can also have, that the scoring. We're not going to talk about them today. We'll see those features later on. Today, it's all about sequences. So maybe what I'll do is I'll share my screen, Luca, already, and then we can go from there. Visible to everyone already? Clear to you
Perfect,
on your
Alex.
side, Luca? Yeah. All right. So
that's perfect.
on my accounting here, we can see on this side in there that we have now this module that's called posts. Okay, it's still in a beta version. Okay, so let's be honest. A few things it might change. A few things it might kind of be differently in a couple of days or weeks, or it might not even change. So inside of posts, we're gonna have this sequence feature that we're gonna talk about today. As I mentioned before, we also have the scores and we have data enrichment as well. So Pipedrive is creating this data enrichment and creating scoring, and now we have sequences. So when you go inside sequences, you will be able to see already sequences that already exist in your account, or perhaps when you have none, then we can go there and create from zero, create from scratch, also pick from a template. All good with the sound? Still, look, I can see that it keeps popping up a message on my side.
That's perfect here.
As I said, if we don't have any sequence in our account, okay, in here, we're gonna end up on this page, okay? Do we want to create a sequence from scratch, +1? In Pipedrive, now we have two options, okay? When creating sequences, we have to pick one of the two objects. It's gonna be when we have a lead, or it's going to be when we have a deal in Pipedrive, all right? So in this case, I would have a deal, but we can also say that maybe I wanted to pick a sequence from a template. So Pipedrive already has a bunch of templates in here, which helps us to understand how I'm going to use those. Okay, easy to nurture, maybe contacts that I'm going to have in Pipedrive to help me to close my deals. Is it something that, like, I wanted to work on a conversion? So we have a few elements in here that we can use, and of course we can also modify them as we want. So from there, we have in here, and we can also add them later on. We're going to see inside of our deals. We're going to have deals in here, and then we could eventually add them straight from the deal. So if I pick that, for example, okay, I'll end up on this page, and I'll create one from template as before. Let's say that I want to sort of use my nurturing one. I select that one, and then I have the list of each element that's going to happen. When it starts, day 1, day 4, day 7, based on my schedule time right here. Okay, so all of this for us now, we can highly customized, is very good to keep the same flow for everyone. Okay, so every deal that's going to be maybe created or updated, it enters in the sequence. We can remember that it can be manual. Okay, I enter the sequence on my deal, or it can also be automated. So what I did before, just to show you guys, is I create a little automation where I decided when that's going to be triggered, and then it's going to add this sequence here is straight into my automation. So if we just go quickly here without talking about much of this, we're just going to use that as in here as a name, what it's going to be doing there. And then also kind of, I wanted to say in here, that's my automation leads qualification. Okay, so I want to use that as my leads qualification. I'm going to save as it is for the moment. I'm just going to pick in here quickly a template, okay, and I'm going to save. Nothing else for the moment, just for the use case showing that. Let's say that this was already in my account. I have in here this sequence that's going to be used automatically with an automation, okay?
As well,
So,
because I just saw when you go back into the email on the Slack channel, Pipedrive just put a new version. When you edit your email, now you will be able to add as well your email signature. Like if you open it, it was not the case right now in our account, but it will. On the bottom of the page, close to the
yeah,
eye, yeah, we will have the email signature that it's not appear here, but it will. It will because just Pipedrive release it
yeah.
just
And
after.
you can use there also on the on your email templates, right? You can go there, set up,
Sure.
and then use the email template with your signature. So that's a really good point, and thanks, Luca, for to point it out, because all those little details that so far is not in here, as we mentioned before, this is still in the beta, is still going to improve, right? So in there, as I just said, I just quickly set up this just to show you that this sequence, it can be a sequence that is automatically automated, right? So just to show you that in my automation here, I already have an automation that says, okay, lead qualification sequence. Every time that I have a deal that is going to be updated and is going to be entering in a stage, okay, I wanted to bang, like, straight away trigger the sequence so then we can nurture our lead, our prospect, and so on. So what I did, very simple, do update, stage, and then we're gonna here pick then the sequence that I have. Okay, I'm just gonna refresh the page because as I deleted my previous one, probably I have a new one in here, and that's the one in there. Okay, save, trigger by end user, and then I could then activate in here. So now I have a fully automated sequence where I'll have a deal that would enter a stage. If the deal moves to the stage in there, Pipedrive is going to trigger the automation. Okay, two different things in here. I have automations where I can, of course,
Do you hear, Alex? Yeah, Alex.
here we go. Is my mic back? Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what we did in here, I moved that view into that stage, and we can also already see in here that I have the email plan. Okay, so this is where we're talking about the kind of automated sequence being engaged already. So the sequence was created. I created an automation on the side that's going to pick my sequence to then keep going on the flow. And we can see in here that this is my template that I created before, and also already has stuff in here scheduled. Okay, it's going to be scheduled for the day that we picked on the sequence, and of course, it's already in there. So if we go in the sequence in here, we can see that already has engaged on the sequence. Okay, and if we go in the sequence now, we can also see in this overview page, okay, which deals I have engaged already. So it can be exactly the same if I get another deal from here, where maybe I'll have, let's pick one that we have, that one, and we move. Okay, same thing. In here now, do we have a contact email? Yes, we do. Okay, and then we're gonna see that soon, even in the change log, it's gonna take that and it's gonna add into the sequence in Pipedrive. Okay. So these are the two things that we have. So one is the sequence where it's fully automated, and then we can also create a new sequence in here, okay, from scratch, where then same thing, is there a lead, is there a deal? Okay, I wanted to do with deals, and continue, and then start from scratch. So what is my first action in here? What is gonna really like, trigger the sequence? It can be the deal created, okay? Something that we have to remember in here is that I can tell the system to say, okay, you're going to stop when I have an email that replies to that. Some of the positives in here is that it's always going to be a reply from the lead. It stops the automation. Some of the negatives is that, let's say I go on holidays and I set my email as a send reminders to say like, oh, I'm on holidays. It can also stop the sequence. Of course, let's say for the big majority, it's always going to work, because it's how many times a day or, that we have those replies. Let's say not many, right? And then another thing that is kind of compulsory is that if I'm going to engage on the sequence, I have to authorize over here, okay? So authorizing here, it would allow Pipedrive to use my email to send those sequences, to send those emails that I'm going to set up in here. And this is per user base, okay? It's not per company, it's for each user. Can you still hear me?
Sure, we can. Yes,
Yeah.
Alex.
Okay. I have some message popping up on my computer on this side saying that I have an issue with my mic. So it's just to make sure we keep on track on the sound. So here it can be my 002 sequence, because I might create a naming which maybe I wanted to use later with my automations. Okay, so here it can be follow-ups, and then first thing is an email. Okay, when do I want this email to send? Okay, to be sent, I want to as soon as it's completed. So let's say I created you, and then it's going to send the email, or I can schedule that. I can schedule for 5 minutes later, maybe 1 day later, whatever the schedule time that I want. Okay. something that Pipedrive created in here now is that included in the weekends, or if it's days, include in the weekends. So this is very Pipedrive, okay? Over here, it says include weekends, but if you go in an automation, it says exclude weekends. So just pay attention to that, because if you're really used to Pipedrive, you might think, oh yeah, exclude the weekends, but in here, it's saying to you to include the weekends. So just be aware of that, okay? So in there, I don't want it to include in the weekends. So it's one day after, only on my weekdays. And then
So basically,
I have
we are Friday, and the email will be sent on Monday, right?
exactly that. Look, yeah. So I don't want it to send any email on my Saturdays or my Sundays, so it won't happen during the weekend. Even though, exactly as you said, I'm setting up this today, or the trigger might be today, it won't happen tomorrow. Then send automatically, okay. We also have the
Good.
option,
It's good. Deception send automatically is really good because you can say send automatically or not. Basically, if it's sent automatically, what like it's like the email is going to be sent in one day. When you will go in Pipedrive in your deal, you will have your email in the pop-up on the top right, on the top, and it's gonna plan. The email will be planned, and it's not gonna be sent automatically. Well, it will, but you have visibility on which email is sent and when. That is really good because sometimes with the automation, it's a bit opaque, and you are not seeing when
it,
the email is sent. And now it's really good. And if you disable the send automatically, you are the sender. You say when it's going to be sent, and it's going to just be a draft email into
mm,
your Pipedrive deal.
it keeps the human touch, right? It keeps the kind of the interaction that I'm gonna kind of keep
Exactly.
there with my lead and stuff, and then I can have control of that. It's in my pipeline. Is even though it's an automation or it's something that's already been set up in the account, it helps to keep there like how do you say, consistency, right? I always wanted to send the same emails, the same kind of like in the same time frame, to not too late, not too early in the process, depending on what we want. But it keeps the real. It's very reliable. And then that human touch, as you mentioned, Luca, is great because yes, I can see in there. Do I want to send it right now? Do I want to send it maybe a little bit later? I have the possibility in here to say, yeah, okay, don't send it. Keep it in there for me. Okay, I wanted to make sure that I'll send it at the right time of the day or whatever, or maybe I want to add something else on the email. And
Exactly.
yeah, which
Exactly.
is
Do I want
great,
to edit the email? Yeah, well, for sure. Do
you
I
know?
want to edit the email or to add another feature, another sentence on the word, or another
Yeah. So here can
stuff
be
into my email?
whatever,
So yeah,
again, pick already a template that I have. Maybe it's not a template, I don't, maybe I don't have any template. Maybe I wanted to tell Pipedrive, hey, can you help me with this template here? Can you help me with the email? So in here, I could just also use the AI, to say like, hey, please create a follow-up email to know how the demo was, for example. I want to maybe to ask Pipedrive to create a friendly email, like in a short version, and then generate that. Hi there, just wanted to follow up. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, is that fine? I'm happy with that. Copy in the message, and then of course, in here I would have to then tweak my message. But we can see that, like even on that setting up for sequences, I can still be able to use the AI and to help me to design maybe like something that is very cohesive to my sequence. Yes, I want to use that. I save, and then I can then again, okay. Next step. What is the next step? Maybe it's just an activity in there. What is again the schedule time? Include weekends or not? Same thing, maybe this is going to be an email. I can already like, follow up email. Who is going to be the owner of the activity? Is that the owner of the deal? Is there maybe another person that is going to be doing that? So I have that also possibility and flexibility of doing here. So he's going to be the items owner, right? Do I have a priority, which today in Pipedrive, this is great. I can set up already on my calendar, those priorities. Maybe this email, it has something that, I have high priority to check. So I can already do that. Save. Next step, we can see that, like, then again, I finished the email follow-up activity. Bam, again, another email. As soon as I finish the activity, I don't even need then to create or go in there and write the email. I mark my activity follow-up email now, and then it's gonna go the email as soon as my follow-up in here is gonna be done, which is great today, right? We have the activities, we have everything in Pipedrive, but sometimes we mark an activity and we still need to go and do the action. We still need to kind of go open our emails and write it down, the email. Like this, activity email follow-up is done. Right after that, I can have then, as I said, okay, let's use the follow-up visit now or follow-up whatever. Okay, same thing, send as a reply, which is great. In this case here, it creates that personal touch that we were talking about before, right? So I'll send an email before, which is my first one in here. Of course, the naming is not right in there. We can always adjust that. But we send the first email, has the client reply, yes or no, the sequence will continue. Then I can send that as a reply already to the client. It keeps the same thread, it keeps the same conversation, which if I'm receiving the email, it doesn't feel kind of the robotic. It doesn't feel kind of, it is an automation, doesn't have the human touch, So I can tell Pipedrive, yeah, use as a reply. Same thing, maybe automatically, because in this case, yes, I wanted to mark my activity as done. I know the email that is going to be sent. Up, we go and we save.
Just
And then,
quick,
for example, it could be here.
you missed something, Alex. Go back in
Yeah,
your
yeah,
email.
yeah. Yes.
You need to on the bottom to click and to
Yeah,
see. Okay, I want to Pipedrive to follow the click and the view of my emails. So it's on the bottom.
exactly.
Yeah, okay. Track
So
my
all of these
email
little
opening
things,
and
like,
follow.
and we can kind of like, we can track.
Exactly.
And why saying exactly that, which is great, thanks Luca for that, is because let's say in our template, we have those elements, right? We have a link to maybe to a web page or to kind of to a form that we wanted to send to the client to say, hey, like, please fill out the form, and for whatever reason, we wanted to track that, right? And tracking here, up has my client or my lead clicked on the link. Yes, great. I can see that in Pipedrive, so it's a great little feature. And then when saved, and then here it could be, the end of my sequence. Okay, it's right there. But I could even duplicate there and have more. It's straight from here, as I could then also from here, then go and duplicate that one. Duplicate that maybe in my sequence 003, other types of follow-ups and so on. And we can always see now that if I go in a deal, so let's say I'm on my sales pipeline. Okay, do I have any emails here that I think this one is with you, Luca? Let's use that one. And in here, I could say, okay, now on that one, I wanted to use my follow-up sequence, and then I'll add it. So this is adding manually this deal to a sequence, okay? Is a bit different than to the first one that we did, where it was an automation. Automation got triggered, it went in there, it picked the sequence that we already had created before, and then it added that deal to the sequence. Here is more like this manual process where I have a bit more control. I wanted to say to the system, yes, this deal here, it's right to engage on the sequence. So then go and then use that now. Okay, so the two different things that we could see here is having those sequences when it can be automated. And then don't forget it, like, if we start to create many in here, it's always good to have the kind of naming in there, okay? What is the name of my sequence? What is it doing in the system, okay? Is it linked to something else, So even naming there, okay, this is my 001 automation lead qualification. I know that is linked to something else. So if I would go to my automations, it's in there. So it's linked to this one here. And inside I can also see it. So don't forget to kind of try to already plan this, because when you have lots of them, you can easily get lost, right? We can kind of get confused, especially if you duplicate them and you don't realize quickly you might be sending something that's not quite right to your leads. Anything that you want to add in here, Luca? A few things that that you already have discussions with clients, or the clients kind of already pointed out to you some of the benefits, and we can also
I
of
already
course,
had some clients using it and some question regarding, especially on who is able to create sequences, who can edit my sequence, and who can add uh, email or that deals or leads into my sequences. And I think it's a bit now, as you mentioned, it's a better version, so it's still improving by Pipedrive as we saw today. But basically, on the sequences, we need to be careful with that because everyone can create a sequence on Pipedrive.
exactly,
That's you don't have
exactly.
any
So
restriction as an admin to say, okay, only these teams, only these visibility groups, only this person or this um, group that you design into the settings can build a sequence and can add a deal to my sequence. Today, basically everybody can do it.
yeah,
Even
even someone that doesn't have that right to do that, right? Like, you could block there on the automation side. Okay, you cannot do any automations. However, you could still create an automation sequence in here, even though it's not fully automated, but you can then trigger them manually, right? One way that you can visualize that, which of course we know that, right, Luca, it's not great, but it's in here, and who enable the sequence, right? So once we go in the sequence, we can see that that's enabled by whatever users that you've been here. It doesn't necessarily mean that the user is using that, okay, because I might not have any deal engaged to the sequence, but it means that now I could be triggering that bunch of automations, okay?
exactly,
So
they can do it.
that's yeah, exactly. So that's one way that you as a user, you can come here and have a look, okay, what's happening there, is enabled by anyone, and who is enabling it. And then of course you could go and hey Alex, can you explain to me why you're using the sequence, and then of course in here we would see which ones are in progress already. We can see that we have one in there. We could see also how many got completed, because of course we just started, we don't have any completed, but Pipedrive then will send the email, okay, we'll send the second one, and then once everything is done, then he marks as completed. However, remember that if he replies any stuff and he ends the sequence, Pipedrive will also mark as completed, okay? So it's not because he has to go all the way to the end that it's going to be marked as completed. If I send my first email, no reply, send my second email, the client replies or the lead replies, okay, he ends the sequence and he mark as completed, okay? So then just be careful with this, let's say, naming completed. It doesn't necessarily mean that it runs the whole way through, okay? We can also then add items to the sequence from here. I can go there and pick the deal, which is a little bit maybe easier. I don't necessarily find easier that way. I think opening here, it would be nice to maybe to have a list where you could select a bunch of deals, kind of what we have when we go in and change on mass things, rather than picking one by one. But maybe something that Pipedrive can make it a little bit better. And of course,
On
you
my
could
hand,
also go in deep.
I prefer to do from the deal itself. So basically, you are
Exactly.
able
Yeah.
to do it as you mentioned, but there is also as well the bulk edit. When you go on
Yeah.
the list view of a deal, you are able to select multiple deals and say, okay, those deals are going to my sequence here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Which is also great. That's kind of like what I was kind of more expecting on the other side in there, to have the both of possibilities. You could also have something that says, okay, add to the sequence, but we can also do it in here. So either or, and in there we can see add to my sequence. Once it goes in here, you you're going to ask which sequence we wanted to pick. And then, of course, you would enter the sequence. Remember, there is a limit. Today, it's 250, let's say, items on the sequence, and that's per sequence. So sometimes what happens is, let's say that I have 1,000 contact or deals that I would like to have on that sequence. You're going to have to somehow duplicate that sequence over and over. And of course, the right one.
And as an advice, if you are doing it by automation and triggering your sequence by automation, go really, really deep into your filter and your condition as an automation in order to not select the 1,000 deals that you have every month, but just like 100, because you are filtering a lot on the automation based on auto conditions, custom fields, or dates that you could have into your Pipedrive account, and just like create a really, really focused automation in order to not have all your deals coming to 1 second, and which is gonna not work because we have the limits to 250.
Exactly. Another thing that will happen is, and when have you? This one is scheduled. But we could do one that, like, once it goes in here, cancel and move to draft. Yes. Then I think now we will see that one gets completed because he cut off the sequence, right? So I guess if you go here, up, I might have to refresh. It's not there yet, but technically you should go in the completion side. It will happen this probably like now when I did myself, because it was me, but when the user receives the email or he replies, or there is an automatic reply and then he cuts off the sequence, you will go in the completed ones and then you can add another one to your 250, right? So just keep aware of that.
If you delete the email, it will be automatically as well.
Yeah, if you go there and then on my draft
you
one,
just delete. No, normally on the left you will see that the nurture. Have you seen? Did you see on the add deal to the sequence on the left side?
Is also free again.
Yeah, it's free now, and it's not the sequence who is here. So basically,
and
it was like
go
this.
back in there, and then in there, boom. That in that case is the 0. It won't show as completed. The only completed that we would have it in there is when really that kind of run over. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? How are we doing for timing?
Yeah, we had a question from Henry who's was asking, can I add automatically contacts to a sequence based on filters? So basically, yes, with the automation, as you explained, we are able to personalize and to create automation to, after that, trigger a sequence. So you trigger the automation to trigger after that your sequences on Pipedrive. So, and basically, I really like the sequence because previously we did this sequence into the automation, but it was, as I already mentioned, it was not visible by the end user. So the end user, when you click on a button and you know that sometimes there is an email who is sent to the client, sometimes it's not, sometimes there is an activity. I'm a bit afraid, and I'm new in the company. It's a bit confusing. And with the sequence, and to be able to see that the email will be sent just in 2 days, and you are able to cancel the email, or just like it's in draft and you are able to edit it. It's really better. Like it's
absolutely
much better.
Totally agree. You might have the client in the morning, right? And like, a client called you and it's like, hey, Luca, just to let you know, I wanted to pump it up that due to like, X amount of users. And you already, let's say you have a draft already saying like, yeah, here is our proposal for 10 users. You would sound really silly if you send an email, right? You wanted to kind of have the capability of saying, oh, I want to go and change that, and say like, yeah, here we go, Luca, that's the deal, the agreement for, 25 users, as you just mentioned this morning. It creates the reassurance also for the end user you know, and for, I mean, for the user in Pipedrive and for the end client, you know, that is going to receive the email with the right information, you know, rather than is an automatic email that you don't know where is going from, and you're there like, oh, you know, did I send this already? Is that 10 users or is it my 25 that the guy asked, you know? So yeah, I totally agree as well that it's a very nice feature that Pipedrive is kind of bringing to everyone. And of course, you know, the power of the automations and plus sequences together is just phenomenal, you know, because another thing that we didn't show today in here is that in the automation itself, you know, you can then decide which sequence I'm going to send the deal to, you know, because I could come in here and say, okay, has my deal moved to contact made? Okay, yes, he made to contact made, he sends this sequence. But I could then, instead of using this condition here, I can delete that one, right? And then I can use the if else condition, right? Where then I can tell the system, oh, if you go to the contact made, send sequence one. If it's not, because maybe my deal is lost, you send another sequence. So I can already plan this mapping of my sequences directly from here, which is really great. You know, I could say that like deal stage, you know, has changed to, as I said, my contact made. Something that I really like doing in here, especially with the sequences, guys, is to add the condition, okay, to make sure that the email, okay, of the person is not empty, right? Just to avoid something, you know, an automation is going to be running that's going to go nowhere. So yeah, it has changed to contact made, condition is met, send this sequence. No, is not to contact made. I can then even use more if else, okay, has a condition that maybe here, the stage maybe has changed to my sales pipeline, because maybe I had the conversation with the client. Yes, boom, it's straight to contact made in the sales pipeline. Same thing in there. Now it passes because the contact has an email. It didn't go that way, but then in here, I can have my action and then a sequence, add to a sequence. And then now I can say, okay, deal. And then I'll pick my sequence number 2. So now we can see that in one automation, we can direct into different sequences that we created already, which is great because in here, everything is automated. We have a lead. If I still need to have more qualification, it stays in the same pipeline. It goes on my sequence number 1. If he's already qualified, then it goes into my sales pipeline because we see that the stage now has changed to another one. Bang, another sequence, right? So very, very versatile. And a lot of automation is just done like, you know, in-house, like, you know, native in Pipedrive, which before, just to do that, we have to kind of like, you know, connected a bunch of tools and maybe leave Pipedrive, use make and stuff. We still do a lot of this today, but we can see that it is really great what Pipedrive is pushing out, and you know.
Exactly. We have a second question from Henry as well, who's asking for the pricing and does the sequence are available on every Pipedrive plans. So,
So the answer is not in all Pipedrive plans. Okay, it's from the growth and above. So
basically, basically no. I just checked, and it's for all the Pipedrive account plans. So that's a good news. I was a bit surprised as well, but the Pearl section is open for every Pipedrive plan, so everyone can have access to the Pearl section.
But you become then a paying feature, no, on the growth, or you'll be also.
No. It's even in the light and growth, it's like directly open and available.
There you go. That's great news, right? Especially for anyone that wants to just start and try it and like, you know, see the capabilities. You know, it's right there, and absolutely, it's a fantastic feature. I'm very keen to show you guys next time, you know, the scoring It's part of the post feature. And then the data enrichment, which is still kind of something that is kind of like, being more worked on inside the feature, where probably you'll be able to get data from LinkedIn, for example, how many people in this account or in this company, and like what is the revenue of this company. But we can see this in a later time and in another webinar, right?
So
any other
if you
question,
have
anyone?
any other question, yeah, go ahead on to the people into the question side or the chat if you have any question for that. And if it's not the case, like we will be follow us on our social media, Discord, LinkedIn, YouTube. We will find everything on our BLC website. And just thank you. Thank you to be here this afternoon, Friday afternoon. I know that it's not the perfect time for everyone, but it's still good to finish with Pipedrive. And
Absolutely, yes.
I think it's in 2 weeks, we have the next webinar for the second Pulse features, which is the scoring.
Lovely, absolutely. So can't wait to see you guys next one. And meanwhile, as Luca said, check out the videos in our website, and feel free to reach it out. So very happy to get in touch and to discuss any automations, any CRM project that you guys have. So I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Alex. Bye bye, everyone.
Thanks, Luca. Bye.